What brings you joy? When students apply to Princeton University, they have to answer that question. In addition to their grades and test scores, they have to submit a set of essays. And one of the essay topics is, what brings you joy? There are several other essays that are longer, but the twist on the one about joy is it has to be a 50-word essay. So that's just 2 or 3 sentences to answer the question, what brings you joy? But in preparation for this homily, I thought I should take that challenge. So I wrote my own 50-word essay about what brings me joy. I could have written about a lot of things, but what came to mind was when I was a teenager, I played a lot of soccer. In high school, I played on 2 different soccer teams, so I played a lot of soccer during the week. Often I had 2 games and 4 practices each week. I remember times getting out of the car and jogging out onto the grass and thinking to myself, there's nowhere else I'd rather be right now. So why did just jogging out onto the field bring me joy? I don't know really. I don't think we can ever completely explain joy. But I think it had to do being with teammates who I could depend on. Also just working up a good sweat sometimes feels good. And being outdoors, experiencing nature, the blue sky, the smell of the grass. Today, if I compared something to that, the first thing I thought of was heading out on a camping trip with my wife, Tia. Sometimes as we're pulling out of the driveway, I have that same feeling of there's nothing else I'd rather be doing right now. Today's the 3rd Sunday of Advent, and today the children lit the joy candle. So the first Sunday was love. The first Sunday was hope. The second, love, and today, joy. What brings you joy, and can we ever completely explain it? We can look up a definition in the dictionary. Dictionaries will give a definition something like, joy is a feeling of great happiness. And that's fine, great happiness, that works as far as definitions go. But I think joy is more than just happiness. It's one of those things that's undefinable. The dictionary does the best it can, using mere words. But a definition can't capture what it's like to experience joy. The Bible, on the other hand, the Bible gives us many deep and meaningful perspectives on joy. We find the word joy in Hebrew and in Greek throughout the Bible. There's so many different viewpoints in the Bible that I can't talk about all of them, of course, but I've picked 3 to share with you today. The first example is the joy we find in the beauty of God's creation. In Genesis chapter 1, we hear that God saw all that God had made, and indeed it was very good. So naturally, we as creatures ourselves experience joy in seeing the awesome beauty of God's creation. Things like colorful sunsets. We see a lot of those bright, vibrant sunsets here in the lee of the Sierra Nevada. Or the clear water and granite rocks at Lake Tahoe. Or fresh snow on the mountains, or a flower blooming. We could make a long list, couldn't we? The awesome beauty of God's creation can bring us great joy. Psalm 96 says it this way, let the fields be jubilant, let all the trees of the forest sing for joy. Creation itself singing for joy. You won't find that description in the dictionary. The second example for today is Christmas joy. In today's gospel lesson, John the Baptist says, make straight the way of the Lord in expectation of the Savior. And John says, the one who is coming after me, I am not worthy to untie the thong of his sandal. And in Luke chapter 2, we hear that famous message from the angel about Christmas joy. The angel says, I bring you great news of great joy. I bring you good news of great joy that will be for all people. For unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, who is Christ the Lord. The angel brought good news of great joy. John the Baptist testified that the one Lord was coming. You won't find those proclamations of joy in the dictionary. Before I share the final example, I did want to mention something about our Blue Christmas service. The diocesan newsletter that just came out had an article about joy, and that article pointed out that human history isn't just one big joy fest. We can turn on the news to see that that's true, right? The article says that life in this world is marked by pain and loss. This is one of the reasons why we have our Blue Christmas service here at St. Paul's on Thursday. There are numerous reasons why you or someone you know may be feeling more pain than joy during this holiday season. If you are, please consider coming to our Blue Christmas service on Thursday. It's easily one of my favorite services of the whole year. The final example of joy I have for you today is from John chapter 15. Now, this is Advent, so don't tell anyone I'm not supposed to jump ahead, especially all the way to chapter 15. But since my theme today is joy, I just have to include these verses as my third example. Jesus relates in these verses love and joy so closely together. He speaks about love, and then immediately about joy, and then immediately back to love again. In chapter 15, verse 9, Jesus tells us, "As the Father has loved me, so I have loved you. Abide in my love." Then, in verse 11, Jesus speaks of joy. He says, "I have said these things to you so that my joy may be in you and that your joy may be complete." Then, in the next verse, Jesus returns to love and says, "This is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you." So love, joy, and love. To paraphrase, abide in God's love, God's joy is in you, love one another. You won't hear those words of love and joy in the dictionary. The Bible is rich and deep in the ways it reveals joy for us. The three examples I shared today, joy in the beauty of God's creation, the good news of great joy that a Savior is born, and in John chapter 15, we hear Jesus' words so that our joy may be complete. The dictionary does the best it can to define joy, and that's fine, but the dictionary can't hold a candle to the Bible. To conclude, I've written a poem based on these verses that I just shared with you. It's an Advent poem, and it's called Joy Abiding. Candles are burning, and we are waiting. Make straight the road for the one who is worthy. Candles are burning, and while we are waiting, the trees of the forest sing a joyful song. Candles are burning, and we are expecting news of great joy. A Savior is born. Candles are burning, and we are listening, hearing the words of Jesus, telling us God's joy is in us, and loving each other as He does, joy abiding in the love of the one.